Alright then guys, here we are for another exam video. So what we're going to do is have a look at the sample assessment materials which are on the screen right now, and we're going to transform them so that we can answer them about the Guardian front page. If you're not sure how to do any of this or why I'm doing it, I'll pop a link up in the top, hopefully if I can figure out how, to the first one that I did which explains it all for you. It's pretty self-explanatory though, you should be able to follow along with what we're doing. Alrighty, so let's get started. So we're going to change this first question, so that instead of it being about Quality Street, it's now about the Guardian front page. For question 2A, we're going to have a look at social context, but again, in terms of the Guardian, so we're literally just doing a straight swap with those two. But 2B, we're going to compare the representation of events in the Guardian and also in the Daily Express, which is going to be this one here. Okay, and again, I've just found this front cover on Google Images. You can find all sorts of images to help you with your revision just by doing a quick Google search. It's important. Essential? One of those two words. It's early in the morning, guys. Yeah, I'm not awake yet. Alright, so media language, question 1. Okay, the mark scheme that we're looking for this, for all three, they all have the same mark scheme, is this here. And again, as we've said before, the only difference between 1 mark and 5 marks is this individual word here. So the level of detail that you provide in this answer will directly relate to what mark you get. If you only give a basic level of detail, you're only going to get basic marks. And as always, I would suggest colour coding, highlighting the keywords of the question, and then colour coding those keywords so that you can, perhaps pinpoint specifically, particularly if you've got one of those coloured clicky pens that's got like 4 colours in one, what we're looking at. Because in terms of images here, we've got the advert at the bottom, we've got the boys, and we've got that intertextual image at the top as well. For our language, we've got the pull quote, which is vital, really important, okay? But we've also got the related sub-story as well, and we've got this section up at the top, which is obviously being made a focus for us. And then layout and design, we're looking at the whole thing. Alright, so here's my go at images then. The focal image used on the front page is a mid to long shot of the 2 boys who lost their lives. The boys are using direct mode of address, which helps to create a connection to the demographic, but it also makes them appear more innocent, which adds to the emotional tone of the story and gets an emotional response for the audience. However, other images are used to indicate the audience. For example, the image of the furniture at the bottom of the page shows that the audience has a large disposable income and is possibly higher up the ABC1 system. The other images that are included are intertextual images of actors and actresses and characters from different franchises. This takes away some of the impact that the photo of the boys makes, but represents the fact that the paper caters to soft news entertainment stories as well as hard news stories. This is probably one of the longer answers that I've given for images so far, but as you can see, the more images you've got on a page, the more things there are for you to talk about. Ideally, you should be referring to at least 3 conventions, at least 3 examples in each of your sort of responses, but obviously for something like the sun front page, which has only got those 2 images, you're going to be limited there, okay? And the exam board will take that into account. Have I given then excellent detailed analysis? Yes, I think I have. And have I given a consistent focus on the intended meanings? Again, yes, I think I have. But let's turn it over to you guys now. See what you think I would get for language and also for layout and design when we get there. The language on the front page is heavily emotional. The main headline does not follow normal conventions as it doesn't include any sort of language techniques. This is due to the fact that the headline is a pull quote from the boy's father. Not only does this make the story more credible as it has come from an eyewitness, but it has also created a sense of relatability to the audience members who also have families and young children. It also creates a huge emotional impact as the simple sentences emphasise the devastating effect of the story. Other language that is emphasised are the bullet points that form the subheading. These include buzzwords such as anguish and tragedy, which make the story more entertaining but also devastating. And layout and design. Like many other newspapers, The Guardian has a clear page grid to make the content easily accessible to the demographic. The centre section of the page grid is taken up through the main story. This emphasises the importance of the story and acts as its main USP to distinguish it from its competitors. However, a third of the page is taken up by an advertisement. This is clearly an important part of the newspaper's income, but also markets the paper at the target demographic, who have a large amount of disposable income and are higher up the ABC1 scale, A to C1. Let me know what you guys think I would get for these in the comments section or through Twitter at media_revision. 2A then. I think this is fast becoming one of my favourite questions. And again, I'm going to say the same thing over and over again. We're focusing on social context first, okay? The context comes first. You use your source as evidence, okay? And you'll see how that works in my example. But I would advise doing a little plan as well if you're not sure. So how social context influences newspapers? Well, trends within society are obviously going to appear on those front pages. Social talking points are going to be created not only to keep the newspapers afloat and have more people buying them, but also they're going to base their stories on what people are generally talking about within society, and they're going to indicate the level of disposable income that we have within society. Okay, so again, similar mark scheme to what we had in question 1, those same keywords appearing here. Let's see what I would get. One way that social context influences newspapers is through the social talking points that are occurring within society at the time. For example, at the time The Guardian was published, the immigration crisis was a large social talking point. By putting a story regarding this on the front page, it encourages more people to pick up a paper and get involved in the discussion. Furthermore, the trends within society are also impacting on newspapers. For example, the long-running Star Wars franchise appeals to a wide and varied demographic. By including this on the front page of The Guardian, it makes the audience more accessible to the paper more accessible to a varied audience. Notice that I haven't put the level of disposable income into this, okay? That's something that I sort of regret at this point and sort of wish I had done. So why don't you guys make a little paragraph about that disposable income for me, pop it in the comment section below, and we can share those ideas with each other so that we all improve in our marks. Had I included that, would I have given an excellent and detailed knowledge of social context? Yes. And would I have given highly appropriate reference to the front cover? Yes. Okay, so you can see how that tiny little paragraph that I've missed out would have gotten me into that band 5. Final question then. Okay, so we're looking at the representation of events in the Guardian front page and the front page for the Daily Express. Again, similarities are going to be in blue, differences are going to be in purple. Let's take a look at my plan then. So we've got national interest in the events in both cases, so that's a similarity for us. And both of them take up the majority of the page to show or to give their level of importance. But differences are that the tone of the events are completely different, and the stories are also included for different reasons. Now again, our mark scheme uses those same keywords but is more detailed. There are more things that we need to hit on this mark scheme to get into that top band. So one way in which the events are similar within the front pages of the newspaper is that they both feature stories that have a wide-ranging national interest. In The Guardian, the immigration crisis was something that created a large social talking point, partly because it had occurred for a long time, but also because in this instance the crisis was represented in an emotional way due to the death of the 2 young boys. In comparison, the Daily Express includes a story about the Olympics. Given this event occurs once every 4 years, it gives it more importance. The level of importance is also something that's common between the two papers. For example, the Daily Express front page follows common conventions by using the whole page to represent the single story about the Olympic Games. The main story on the Guardian front page is also given the majority of the paper to represent its importance, but is in keeping with the conventions of broadsheets in the size and space it has been allocated. Conversely, there are also differences within the publications. Primarily, a difference is that the stories are included for different reasons. The immigration issue was highly debated with Parliament and was also misrepresented in more biased publications. To combat this, or at least help the demographic make up their own mind, The Guardian, who don't always comment on politics, included the story as a main feature. Tone is also a difference between the two papers. The Olympic Games is something to be celebrated as it helps to create a sense of national pride. It unites the country as a whole by providing one focus the demographic can get behind. I think with this question it would have been easy to carry on writing, but obviously I don't want to make the text too small for you guys to read. I think in this instance, I've definitely given consistent use of key terms. Again, there's no theory in this though. I'm very disappointed with myself here. So guys, take one of these paragraphs, perhaps one of the smaller ones, and show me how you can fit one of those theories in here. Okay? And also excellent detailed comparisons between the set products I've given, and I think I've given well-reasoned judgments, but remember that since that first exam, speaking to different people on Twitter, particularly some of those who have marked the exam, you need a paragraph at the bottom saying, overall I think that, overall I feel that. You need to give that overall judgment at the bottom to get into those higher marks. Quite a few key terms for us here. Consider putting them into note cards or highlighting them within your own work. If you want to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with the comments section below or through Twitter at media_revision. And you can also subscribe. If you hit the button next to it, you get instant notifications every time I post a video. And I'll see you guys later for another video.